To King Family Cattle. I'm Caden. Today's video is a little different. I'm gonna show y'all a little bit about the property, about the barn here, kind of how it came to be and all that good stuff. Thank y'all for watching. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button because it helps me more than y'all know. If there's anything y'all want to see or know, leave me some comments down in the below here, and I'll try and get those answered in future videos. Y'all stick around. Having to be your own gate getter is pretty tough sometimes. No, maybe it's just a little bit of being spoiled. This gate swung and came off one of the hinges, and I was not taking the time yet to try and get it put back on. This gate's about 20 feet wide, so it's not the lightest thing in the world. Sometimes it's more convenient just to push a bell out the bed of your truck than it is to get the tractor out. I like it. These cows share about 1.5 acres of ground, so this time of year keeping hay out for them is pretty important. As you can see, they came up to it pretty quick. So first things first, the barn here. The original barn was built in the early 40s. It was used as a barrack for Camp Robinson, which is a military base here in central Arkansas. Some years later, Cabot High School bought it, used it as their high school cafeteria. And then sometime in the late 70s, early 80s, my wife's grandfather bought it, brought it where it's at right now, and turned it into a barn. He built the lean-tos off each side. This side here has 5.5 stalls that are used for cattle, set up for cattle. The other side has 5 stalls that are set up for horses. Let's go take a look. Right, this is the east side of the barn. We're on the opposite end from where the first part was filmed. This is the side where it's set up for horses. So at the far end, which would actually be the front of the barn, we have a spot where we keep the tractor, the boat, four-wheeler, that kind of stuff. And then we have 5 stalls. These stalls are 12 by 12. They're metal panels on the inside with plywood, keep the horses' legs safe. Then we have hay baskets and a feed trough for each horse. And then the gates can swing up and come across this alleyway right here if we need them to. And that's about all it is to this side of the barn. It leads out into this. This is a 1-acre pasture. My father-in-law has a couple sheep in here, and then I got the horse. And that's all it is to this side. Let's go check out the rest of the place. Coming out of the alleyway, we come this way. We have a gate right here, and this leads into, as you can tell, where the cows are. This is a stall door. It'll actually open up into the alleyway on that side of the barn. Right here, we have this square pen, which is about 50 by 50 feet. It goes out, and it's got about 1.5 acres of pasture. Behind this island back here, there is actually a creek that will flood up sometimes, so we have to watch that. And this is where I keep the cows. I feed them up here, their water's up here, and then they have access to the barn. Before we move on, I want to introduce the cows to you. So this one here looking at us, she is a 5-year-old. No, she's a 4-year-old. She's bred to a low birth weight Angus. She'll calve this spring with the rear end to it. She's a 2-year-old first calf heifer. She's bred to the same bull and will also calve this spring. And then this one over here on the far left is a 5-year-old, and I don't know if you just saw it, but that is her little Charolais cross bull calf back there. Mama is open. She was not re-exposed to the bull yet, so this is the cows. I apologize for the low light. I probably should have come out here earlier and did this video, but anyway, we're back on the other side of the barn. This is the other alleyway. We're still on the back side from where the very first segment was filmed, but this alleyway leads out into the pen where the horses and sheep are, and then it has another 5.5 stalls off of it. I say a half. This one stall is only half the size, which is why it's a half. Right here, I kind of have my feed. I keep some trash cans. I keep the bags of feed in the trash cans. We have raccoons and rats and all sorts of stuff get in here, so it makes a good little place to store some feed. I'm not feeding a whole lot right now. I don't hardly ever feed a whole lot of grain, just enough to keep them coming up to where I can load them when I need to. So I don't have to worry about a whole lot of grain storage. But anyway, this is what these stalls look like. This side's wooden. You come in, these stalls are a bit bigger. These are 20 by 20, and all the interior doors open and work as gates. Every stall has access to both the alleyway here and the pasture. That's it. Let's go and I'll show you the last pasture, and then I'll get y'all out of here. We're in the main pasture. This one's about 5.5 to 6 acres in size. It's just a rectangle shape and has the barn right here off of it. The half of this far south end fence, and then this side right here borders a railroad track. Those fences are not real great. They're perfectly fine to hold donkeys and horses and such, but cattle could easily get out. And I think your calm and tame cattle would probably be okay, but most of your cattle, I wouldn't risk it, especially this place is in town. You'll see from some of the aerial shots I get that we're right in the middle of town here, and I wouldn't risk it. I came out here about a week ago, and I cut a lot of brush, a lot of trees. I got the tractor out and I moved about a dozen telephone poles. And then this old trailer right there was right here with the trees growing up in it. So I got all that out, cleaned up. That way this stall right here, this front stall, will actually be usable now. I've been using it just for storage and that kind of stuff, old fence panels, hay, barbed wire rolls, stuff like that, a sprayer, fertilizer. That'll actually be usable though. And then this is the backside of that semi chute you might have saw in the first clip. This semi chute had a series of pins coming off of it right here back in the day. When my wife's grandfather bought the place, he hauled a lot of cows for people to and from. Sometimes people would pay him just to borrow the chute. So that's kind of the backstory on that. It'd be nice to get it back in working condition, but I don't know if it'll ever happen or not. Right now, the only critters in this main pasture is these two donkeys. That's the front one is the mom, and this is her daughter. They're about 10 and then 7 years old at this point. I've had them for a few years. A couple years ago when I had some brood mares out here, there was a coyote that was coming up in the evening and throughout the night and stuff, and so I put these girls out here and I've not seen one since. So you know, that's the farm. As I said earlier in the video, if there's anything y'all would like to know, any questions you have, anything you'd like to see, leave them in the comments and we'll try and get them answered in a future video. If you hadn't already, please subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Lined up perfectly.